All right, so welcome everybody to this live stream on our brand new Trade Maestro Facebook page. I'm joined today with Mr. Kris Williams, who
Hello.
is coming to us all the way from the East Coast in North Carolina.
That's
How you doing,
right. That's right.
Kris?
Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, I've been looking forward to having this conversation for a whole lot of reasons. Partly because it's the first time that we're doing a live stream on our new Facebook page, so that's cool. But also just because of your history. We've talked a lot on the phone, but I'm looking forward to sharing all of your stuff with our audience and with the community here at Trade Maestro. And we were going to talk a little bit about your trading history, but I think given the circumstances of today,
Yeah.
what do you say we jump into some of the more controversial stuff like this whole GameStop thing and Reddit and all that stuff?
GameStop. Never heard of that. What's that?
I hadn't either.
Yeah.
I thought Roblox and Fortnite was the future of gaming.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty wild. How do you want to jump into this? Because I have some questions, I have some feedback, and you're the maestro, so you have all the answers.
Well, I don't know. Somebody asked me a few weeks ago when GameStop was about $30 a share if they should buy it, and I said this looks ridiculous. I have no idea why this trade's going up. You should probably avoid it. And so clearly, I don't know anything.
Well, I mean, if you look at fundamentals, which I don't look at because I learn from you and I pay attention mostly to technicals, the fundamentals don't support it. And then uh, I guess when you have to look at the chart and go by the chart, though, it's going up. So, like, what do we do?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point. Well, first of all, let's just kind of frame it up a little bit. The story goes, we can debate even this conversation, but the story goes that there's a user group on Reddit that has decided that they're going to snuff out all the short sellers. This is a hostile takeover by the consumer trader. I was looking at it, you got 3.4 million people in this user group.
Wow. Wow.
And they've targeted some stocks that have very disproportionate short selling interest, and they said we're going to run this thing up and run these people dry. So
Hmm.
that's the theory. What do you think? Think they can do it?
Well, I think they are doing it because all of the big. What's funny what you just said, like the big institutional traders, they're the ones that's like usually driving the market, but because of what this group is doing, now they have to cover themselves, and they're following the retail traders now. So when I first heard about it, I was thinking that it was a bunch of Robin Hood newbies, but the more I dug
Right.
into it, I mean they've joined the wave, of course, but the more I read into it, I'm like, oh no, this is a protest.
Yeah, it really is. And I got on the Reddit group this afternoon. I didn't even realize this was going on. I don't spend a lot of time on Reddit forums, but I got in there and just kind of poked around, and it's a hostile takeover for sure. So what a lot of people don't realize is, whenever it comes to short selling, there's two types of short selling. Well, there's supposed to be one because naked short selling is not supposed to be legal, but it still happens. And so if you're not familiar with the terms, short selling in general, let's just start there. Selling a stock short is when you sell something you don't own in the anticipation of the trade going down, and then you have to buy to cover it. Now, this is a legal maneuver. There's a lot of bad press about it. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's good for the market. It creates liquidity.
Hmm.
If we didn't have short selling, we would have bubble after bubble. That's all we would have. In fact, this would look very tame compared to not having short traders at all. But whenever you sell something short, you have to borrow it first. And so
Hmm.
naked short selling is when there is no available shares to borrow and they still sell it short. How can they do that, Kris?
Margin.
Well, yeah, you have to have a margin account. They're really not supposed to be able to do it. So that's the thing is you and I can't go do that because we have
All
retail
right.
trading accounts. The broker would
Yeah.
never let us do it. But these institutions are doing it. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you buy a stock or when you short a stock, there's 3 days until settlement. And so these institutions are shorting positions. And by institutions, I'm talking hedge funds and big institutional money. They're shorting positions. And before the 3 days to settlement, they never get the shares to actually deliver for the sell. So that's a naked short sell.
Let me ask you this question: and how, for other people out there who may not see what's going on, because I tried to explain it to my wife earlier, and she was just like, "What?" So how is what the group from Reddit doing driving the price up? And what do the institutional short sellers, what do they have to do now, and how does that contribute to it going up?
Okay, so there's a couple questions in there. So here's what the Reddit group did. I don't know how many participants there have been. Volume has taken off substantially. I'm going to share a chart here. I'm going to try to share a chart. So what we're looking at is you can see the chart. You can see us in the bottom window there. You look good there, Kris. Micro Kris. So this is what's happened. We're talking about since, see if I can draw on the screen here. This is since the 13th of January that we've gone from, at that time, around $25, $30 a share. You had several days where it didn't do a lot, and then the last 4 trading sessions, and then today we just gapped up to $347 a share. That's pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's what happens. If you can see behind it, you see all that volume that's in there. Well, that's the mass. That's the people on Reddit. So the question is, how much volume does it take to create sudden demand? If you had 3.4 million people that suddenly buy a stock, and let's say they all buy 1 share, that's a surge of 3.4 million shares. Let's say they all buy 10 shares. That's 34 million shares. Let's say they all buy 100 shares. That's 340 million shares. Now, there's no way all 3.4 million. I mean, you can't get 300 people in a church to agree. There's no way you get 3.4 million people in a forum to agree. But, you get a good chunk of that. Maybe it's 500,000 of them that buy. That's a surge of volume. Yeah. And so what that does is it creates massive demand. What do the market makers have to do? They're raising and lowering the bid and the ask, trying to make the market. And if there's no one selling, what do they have to do? Raise the price. Raise the bid, looking for sellers. They raise the bid, looking for sellers, raise the bid, looking for sellers. Finally, it gets high enough where someone says, okay, I'll sell. Well, some of those people happen to be short sellers. And so there's a lot of this volume today with short sellers that were selling at $350, thinking, this thing's going to go down to $250. Some of them did. So they provided the liquidity, and that helped to drive it up. Then there was, not enough buyers at 375. That drives the price down. Then you had some of the short sellers. What are they going to do? And cover their position.
They have to cover it, yeah.
So they're buying at 250. What does that do? Puts a bunch of demand back on the buy side, and then that creates all this volatility.
So we saw the same thing kind of happen with AMC, right? They target AMC as another one of these, just like GameStop.
Yeah.
Is this like something that we should be jumping on the bandwagon with, or should we stay away?
Well, it's a really fascinating question. So I just put up the chart here for AMC, and people can see that. It's hard to see. It's so off the chart. This stock yesterday was $7 to $5, and today is $20. So normally that's an earnings announcement, or a Reddit hostile takeover. I didn't believe this at first. I really didn't. Okay, so the question you asked is, should we pay attention? I think there is something to pay attention to. That's why we're talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. I think the thing to pay attention to is probably the message that's being sent. The message that's being sent is the guys on Wall Street have been disconnected from the guys on Main Street.
Yeah.
And the Main Street guys have gotten together and said there's more of us than there are of them. Yeah. So that's the message that's being sent. Someone says, well, should this be illegal? We're seeing the SEC stepping in saying, oh, maybe we're going to make
Hmm.
this illegal.
Hmm.
All these people are complaining. Well, guess what? They've been doing that to us.
That's
It only
right, the whole
takes a
time.
couple of George Soroses and Carl Icahns and these guys to get together and say, hey, we're going to go play Main Street.
Yeah,
Now Main Street's just turned the table.
yeah,
So what do you think? Is
yeah.
there an ethical problem?
Maybe, but I mean, it may not be with Reddit. It may be with institutional traders now getting a taste of their own medicine, and so that's why I'm interested to see exactly what the SEC is going to do because, like, I think this could happen with. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I think I read with the Reddit group they closed it now, so you had to be invited to the site. Like, no, anybody can't just go on there now. That was this afternoon, so I think they're picking other stocks that's been shorted a lot, and they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to
They'll
be heard.
reorganize. They'll reorganize in a different forum somewhere. But let's talk about the ethical question. Who's getting hurt? Main Street are not the short traders. This is institutional funds that are getting hurt.
They are. I'm concerned with like these random texts I got today from people I had no idea that traded, saying that they're making all of this money from GameStop and AMC. And my concern is that when this thing pops or when it's over, that they're going to be left out to dry. So I'm still concerned about the retail trader, and I'm trying to figure out what to say to the people who know that I trade, and they're coming to me like, "Did you make any money off of GameStop?" And I'm just like, dude, I hope you didn't put your life in this because I didn't even know you traded before. So, from an ethical standpoint, the retail trader still may end up hurting themselves in the end.
That's an interesting point. I'll counter it this way. This is exactly what they've done with penny stocks forever.
Yeah.
Now, these stocks are listed on the big board exchange. It's illegal to pump and dump with, at least that's my understanding. The truth is I couldn't tell you the regulation, but with penny stocks, what they do is they'll put out all these penny stock newsletters, and it's the same thing we're seeing on the Reddit forum. It's, hey, buy, 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 buy. This is the stock. This one's going to the moon. Today it's 6 cents. Next week it's going to be $1.10. Same thing. But with the penny stocks, what's happening is the people who own these stocks or the companies are paying the penny stock publishers to
Mm.
pump their stock up. And then it runs up, and then at some point everybody sells, and the people who get out early make a lot of money. The people who hold for too long, they go all the way down. Now we're just got a $6 penny stock instead of a 6 cent penny stock.
Yeah. I mean, it's as far as the ethical piece, I don't know because if I'm the CEO of AMC or GameStop, like I know that my stock is not valued at that, and so
I'm cashing out
like
if I'm the CEO.
yeah, like right. Getting out and want to get my shares and leave. And so it's hard to say because like who sets the standard on what the value of a company should be and their shares should be. So I don't know. It feels wrong, but like you said, if you look at it from what the institutional traders have been doing, like that is wrong. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, so if we publish this, if we go out and we publish this and we give financial advice to go buy something and we run a pump and dump campaign, that would not be legal. But if you have a mass of people who get into a room, whether it's a virtual room or an actual arena, and they all
Hmm.
scream, buy, 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 isn't that the open market doing its thing?
It is, but they've also made public what their intent is and why. So, so again, like then you have to ask: is GameStop and everybody involved with GameStop being hurt by this in the long run? So that's the ethical piece for me. It's not the necessarily hitting the big boys back. It's like, well, what are you doing to the people at AMC and GameStop in the long run? Is this helping them or is this hurting them?
What do you think? Is it hurting them?
In the short term, no. but when this thing is over, whenever that is, and whatever that looks like, I mean, it's like GameStop is not going to be $300 something, and it's going to come crashing down. And I think you're going to have all of the newbies who jumped in are going to lose their shirts.
What do you think of? I heard, I didn't verify this, but I heard TD Ameritrade halted trading on some of these positions. Do you think that's fair?
I didn't like that because that's like a little bit too much control. And I mean, like, but that's what like the SEC is going to do something anyway. But I read that TD Ameritrade did, and then even Nasdaq came out and said they were doing something. And so um, they don't do that to the institutional traders, do they? When
Nope.
they get away with this. So I didn't like that at all. It was almost like you can't play our game by our rules. You have to have different rules because you're the little guys. And so that didn't I didn't like how that came across at all.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're saying that you can't play our game. We can scab off of you. We can manipulate the market. And if people think the market's not manipulating, they're kidding themselves. I mean, we sit here and draw charts, and it trades to a price, and it turns around, and it trades to a price, and it turns around. And that's our technical analysis that we do.
Yeah.
Now, the technicals actually still told us to buy these trades. That's the interesting thing.
Can we look at one of them
Fundamentals say
to see
no.
what the
Yeah,
buy signal was?
sure. Which one do you want to look at?
Let's look at
Look at
the talk of the
look at
town.
game.
Let's look at the stop.
Yeah. So if we were to take today off the chart, and let's just look at what we see here. In fact, let's just do this as a replay.
Hmm.
Where let's go back to November. And if we go back to November and we were to run this thing forward, this is what you're seeing on GameStop. Oops, didn't mean to run it that much. Stop playing for me. There we go.
The
So
game won't stop.
yeah, the game won't stop. So this is in November when GameStop's back here at $12, and that's the kind of move that I teach people to make every day. In fact, the move back here in September was a buy. We
Hmm.
had one, two, three buys. We had a profit taking opportunity. We had another entry. This is all before December.
Yeah.
The technical said to buy. Okay, so now let's go forward a couple days here and let's see where we end up. All of these days were telling us to buy this trade. I don't know if people can see this. I'll maybe zoom in a little bit here.
Ah, there you go.
Maybe they can see that a little bit better. But all these signals were buy signals. We had a profit taking opportunity right around earnings.
Hmm.
Okay, and then we've got more buy signals. Okay, these are the buy signals that I teach every week in my profit picks. We run this forward a little bit. Boom, that's a big buy signal right there. That big
Yeah.
bullish candle. Now, Kris, if you and I weren't sitting here talking about the chaos caused by Reddit, if you just showed me the chart on this, I would say that looks great.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that?
I would, and then you had to follow up the next day too.
Follow up the next day. So we take this thing forward a little bit more, and we have some red candles, but this is staying above the averages. We're staying in the trends. Now we start to have that's a profit taking signal here. Okay, so
Yeah.
we close some trades, but it doesn't mean that this is bad.
Right.
Nothing is abnormal about this behavior. We get into January here, and boom, there's
Yeah.
the big day. And that was the day that one of my students asked me, "Hey, should I be buying GameStop?" And I looked at that and I said, "Well, that looks strange." And what I said at the time, not being a trade that I trade much, actually I've never traded GameStop,
Hmm.
but I saw this long upper shadow in the candlestick, and I said, "Well, that's a lot of selling pressure." And I think if I went back to the recording, probably what I said to him was, "Let's see where that goes, because that's a sign of selling." I don't.
Hmm.
I remember saying to him, "I don't know what caused this, but that long upper shadow tells me there's a lot of volatility." Now, I didn't know anything about the Reddit board at the time. Okay,
Hmm.
but all of these signals, anybody could have taken this signal without having a clue of what Reddit was doing.
Hmm.
And isn't that what we
Yeah.
do anyway? That's what technical trading is.
It is.
Technical
It is.
trading is to look at the signals that are provided in the market from the people who are trading it. The same people keep trading the same stocks over and over again, and they get conditioned to different buying and selling behavior, and they do it at these pivot areas. And we look for the opportunity to exploit it. So if I knew nothing about the Reddit board,
Hmm.
there was plenty of reason to take that trade, right?
Yeah. Where would you have set your stop on that candle? if you had gotten in
On
on
that
that day?
candle, I would have set a stop. It was a big one, so I probably would have set it around $20. But normally, I would have come in. Let me share the screen again. Normally, I would come in below one of these moving averages, like the 20 period, which
Yeah,
would put me about $19.
yeah.
Yeah. And, a lot of people are trading this with options. So, a lot of
Wow.
people would just take this trade, buy an
Ooh,
option on it, and not even worry about setting a stop. But then you take this forward a day, and, that was another big move. By that time, so by this candle, even if I was skeptical, I could have been persuaded, to be
yeah,
interested in that because it just looked
yeah.
good. Doesn't matter why it looked good. Then follow this along. It's looking great. Now suddenly we're at $65. Now it's starting to look like a parabolic rocket ship.
Yeah,
But I still am like, holy cow, this is the next Tesla. Where'd this come from? In my mind, without knowing about Reddit, I'm thinking there's some magic at GameStop, and I don't care what it is. I'm going to ride the wave.
yeah, yeah.
So if you're
Wow.
surfing, if you're in Hawaii and one wave is massively bigger than another, do you complain or you just jump on the board and say ride the wave?
We ride the wave, and we're trend traders, right? Swing traders, so we ride the wave. Um,
Yeah, that's what we do.
so again, I'm a little now. I'm like, well, where does this thing end? I mean, do we just take it day by day and see what the candles do if they start? Well, I mean, like we're so far away from moving averages. Like I don't even know. Like, can you use moving averages for when you have these like 200% gaps? Like, do they still work in such a volatile situation like this?
Yeah, they still work. It's just that it's a long ways away, but that's how much space you're going to need. If we were to let's finish this thing off, and then I'll look at some other indicators. So then you had a big day where we had a lot of volatility, and then I think the next day was a good solid day, ended at 147, and then I think today was the next one. So um, my point is, until today, there was nothing that suggested there's 3 million people in a Reddit group that are pumping this stock. It
Yeah,
looked like it had natural ebb and flow. Wouldn't you agree with that?
yeah. Because I mean, I don't know if I've seen 100% before, but I mean, like I've definitely seen huge gaps on earnings announcements or some sort of announcement, and you can see like large um, candle day was just matter of fact like I somebody had told me about it, and when I saw the chart, that's when I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like unprecedented. Like I've never seen anything like this, and that's when I started looking at articles and trying to figure out what was going on.
Right. So what I've pulled up on the screen now is the average true range. And a lot of people set a stop, especially for a trailing stop, at 2 times your ATR. So can you see that? No, that's not showing up.
Oh, now I see
There we
it.
go. Yeah. So this ATR is, oops, I put two of them on here. How did I do that? This ATR is about $32. So that's where a lot of people would say twice that. So $64 should be a trailing stop. Even a trailing stop at $64 the volatility would stop you out today.
Hmm.
But that tells
Yeah,
you, could you still trade it? Yeah. I mean, if you're in this trade today, I would put a stop at the low of today and just know you got $100 worth of volatility. I deal with that with Tesla almost every day.
yeah. I had a friend who told me he sold some puts. I don't know, like he's $40 and $70, and he was just saying the premium on those puts. He said they were just like through the roof, and I'm like, oh,
Nuts.
I didn't even think about doing that.
I thought about that too. The risk is that you would get put the stock, but if we came over and looked at an option chain on this, even short term puts, because the volatility is just
Yeah, he said these are
let's go
like
down to
expiring this week.
yeah. I mean, this is the one that expires tomorrow. Okay, so these are sorry, not tomorrow, but Friday.
Friday.
Let's show all strike prices, And I could come down here to, I think market makers had to have been shocked at how many issues they didn't know they were going to have to issue. So you can come down here to like $100 strike price, which let me zoom in on that so you can see that.
There we go.
It's $100. That is $247 away.
Wow.
And it expires in 2 days. And you can make $3.70. It's $250 out of the money. Let's go to a $200 strike price. This expires in 2 days. $23 a share.
Wow.
It expires in 2 days. Now, people want to know, why do we have that kind of premium? Okay, it's off the screen, so before I put it on there, Kris, what do you think the implied volatility is on this option?
1,000. Oh my.
1,379%.
Oh my gosh.
Expires in 2 days.
Option trader's best friend.
That's exactly right. If you were to trade this, that would be a much better trade, much more predictable than just buying the stock.
Yeah. I know what I'm going to be doing at 9:30 in the morning. Going to be looking at this
And
thing.
okay, so this is crazy too. I'll share this. This is crazy too. Look at this. I think you could do, let's see where we want to lay this in here. Let's go down to like, these are $5 spreads. Okay, look at this. We could sell $100 put. Can you see that? No, you can't see that. Hold on.
No, zoom out.
Where is $100? $100. There it is. We could sell this for $3.65. Let me clear this out. $3.65 buy, and you have a spread of 25 cents. You could still pull in 5% in 2 days on a credit spread with a $5 risk. Which, I mean, that kind of stinks. Let's go closer to the money. Maybe, where's the 200 over here? There we go. Look at this. So we could sell a 200 for $23. Look at the spreads on that. So it's 25 by 20. But your mid price point on that, you could still probably get, I bet you could get $1 on it for a $5 spread. So you make 25% in 2 days.
In 2 days, yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is something I'm gonna take a look at and see. I want to see what pre-market in the morning, what it's looking like. Is this thing gonna drop 100 points or what?
So let me ask you this. This is, I think, maybe where this conversation needs to go. So why are people shorting it? They're shorting it because they believe that it is overvalued and it needs to go down. And you have a group of people, for logical reasons or not, are saying, I like the stock and I'm buying it. Now we have the actual battle of fundamentals versus technicals. This may be a tulip bulb mania, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like Colm O'Shea said in his interview with Jack Schwager in Market Wizards. He said, you know, he's a fundamental trader, but the fundamentals don't really matter. You know, stock can be irrationally high, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would I short GameStop right now? No.
No.
Even if it doesn't make any sense. Why?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter why it's going up. It's going up.
Yeah.
So fundamentals really don't matter. Maybe eventually a stock comes back to fair market value, but the money is not to be made in that. The money is to be made in paying attention to the momentum of the masses.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything with that type of implied volatility as an options trader, I'm looking at this to do something.
So now I'm going to ask the question a little bit differently from an ethical standpoint. Is it ethical? So people ask the question, is it ethical that hedge funds can short? I'm going to ask the question, is it unethical to give Main Street traders the opportunity for a rocket ship stock by everybody saying, we like it?
Phrase like that, no, because who can determine, you know, if they should and shouldn't like it? And if a bunch of them say we like it and the price goes up, like that's the market. So that part of it, like I don't think that's unethical.
That's the market. That is the market. What you just described is the market. I mean, if Apple releases an iPad and there's not enough supply, people who manage to wait in line for 2 days to get their
Mm,
new iPad or the new Sony PlayStation or whatever it is, what do? They go onto the greatest free market in the world. They go into eBay and they
yeah,
sell for 10 times what it's worth. Now, if they're
that's
selling it
true.
on eBay for $10,000 and you could buy it in the store for $500, but the store doesn't have it, is it unethical to sell it for 10 grand if someone's willing to pay for it?
No, and the same thing. I don't know if you're familiar with StockX. It has nothing to do with trading, but basically, it's rare shoe collection. So sneakerheads, they have the rarest of rare sneakers, and like they don't even sell them at Nike anymore. They don't sell them in the stores, but someone purchased them when they first came out, and now all of these shoes, people bid on them, and they pay $500, $800 for a pair of sneakers, a rare edition, and it's because this person owns it, and the value of it is perceived by the people who are willing to pay it, and that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. How many pieces of art have you seen that sell for millions of
Yeah,
dollars? And I think you could rub poop on it and it would look just as good. But someone thinks it's worth something, right?
yeah, yeah.
What does it matter? The free market operates on the principle of the price is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. And
Hmm.
the traders on Reddit, whether they got together and said we like it or not, it doesn't matter. Because if you read through the forums, the truth is they're talking about Apple, they're talking about Tesla, they're talking about other trades. And many of them are saying, I'm buying Apple, who's with me? And if you have a bunch of people that are buying Apple, but it's one of the heaviest traded stocks, it didn't have as much surge behind it, but it was also a lot more
Hmm.
expensive. It just so happened that GameStop was cheap enough that many people could get on board.
Mm, yeah, which is why I think I was surprised with AMC because that was even cheaper. So I thought and it still may pop even more. So that may be something I take a look at too. But like you taught us, like you make your trades according to what the charts are saying, and regardless if it's Reddit or whoever, like the charts are saying it, we're trending up.
That's what they're saying.
And you mentioned something earlier. So for those who may not quite understand. You were talking about what just price action. So I remember you saying this years ago that really when we look at charts, it's a measure of sentiment. It's what people are feeling, and it's reflected in a price on a graph.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
all a
that's
price chart
what.
is. A price chart is just simply taking the ticker tape and plotting it out across the chart. And that tells us how people feel about it. It would be really interesting if we could get a sentiment indicator that, maybe some artificial intelligence could run through all the social media forums and say, hey, here's the positive comments versus the negative, and there's 3 times more positive comments, so we have a positive sentiment. We don't have that indicator. So what we have the price. And
Hmm.
it really doesn't matter what the fundamental value is. It doesn't matter how many games are flying off the shelf. If
Right.
the buyers are buying, it doesn't matter. The price is going up. And how many quarters has Tesla not delivered a profit, but the stock
Yeah.
kept going up? If you
Right.
remember during the tech boom of the late 90s,
Yeah.
when I started trading, I mean, you had stocks like Yahoo, you had stocks like Netscape. I mean, these companies aren't even, some of them aren't even in business anymore. And they were trading at 100, 200, 300 times
Yeah.
earnings, and they never had earnings. They never made a penny. Some of them didn't even have a product. I mean, during the dot com bubble, I mean, it was ridiculous. Was that unethical? What if
No.
I happen to believe that the future of gaming retail is GameStop? I don't
Yeah.
happen to believe that, but what if I did? I also didn't happen to believe that Google was going to come along and knock off Yahoo at the time.
Yeah.
What do
Or
investors
Netflix.
do? We take a bet on what position we think the future is going to reward.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned the key word. I wanted to get your feedback on this. You said social media. We're talking about, it'd be great to have some artificial intelligence. But speaking of social media, when Elon comes out and he puts a post up about GameStop, and you immediately see, people react to that. It makes you kind of wonder what does Elon have to do with this? Why in the world is he tweeting? Or I think it was a tweet that he said something about GameStop, and people pay attention. So, do you have any thoughts on old Elon saying something about it?
Well, I didn't see that tweet, but I saw, a week or two ago he was tweeting out about Bitcoin and he was loading up on Bitcoin and, he was sending mixed messages, but the truth was he was loading up. So,
Yeah,
you know, social media, people are going to shill, people are going to, troll.
yeah, yeah. So
You
we've been
know,
talking a lot about whether it's ethical or not. Give me your feedback on whether it's wise or not, which is totally different. So no, we may not feel that it's wrong what Reddit is doing and what the crowd and the herd is doing, but as a teacher, what kind of wisdom would you give in regards to what's going on?
that is an excellent question. My general principle, I have a couple that I'm going to lay down. Number one, I want to take trades that are predictable.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, the lottery's great, but I have no idea if I'm going to win it. I can look at some trades, understand that trading is not that different than blackjack. You have your probabilities. When you buy a stock, you got a 33% chance of the stock going up, you got a 33% chance of the stock going down, you got a 33% chance of the stock staying flat and doing nothing. So your natural odds are 1 out of 3. So
Hmm.
now if I can win at least $3 for every dollar I risk, and if I can win at least 34% of my trades, I'm going to beat the market.
Hmm.
So, you can start there and we can stack the odds by saying I'm going to trade with the momentum of a trend that's established. For example, GameStop before this volatility, but GameStop actually was a good trend.
Yeah.
There was reasons to get into this trade before. You stack the odds. So you say, well, I'm trading in the direction of the trend. I'm trading with the momentum of the trend. I'm stacking the odds. I'm stacking the odds. And one of these days you get lucky. And,
Mm.
I was really blessed this past year. I made big money on Zoom. I made big money on NVIDIA, big money on Tesla. We had some stocks that made big, big moves, but there's not a single one of those that I bought because I was trying to chase it. I bought every one of them
Hmm.
because there was a good entry. And when you do the
Hmm.
setup right and you do the right entry, occasionally you get blessed. And
Mm.
to me, that's good trading. That's disciplined trading. And then you take your profits
Yeah.
when you get to a logical target. GameStop is risky because we don't have any territory to sit here and say this is where it should stop trading. We don't have real price targets. You just got a bunch of people on Reddit saying when it's at $1,000, I'm going to take my 3.6 million that I just made. No, you're not, because there's not enough people to buy when everybody
Right.
starts selling. So it's going to
Right.
be a real firestorm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good
that's the
stuff.
question too. People, I did notice this afternoon, people were screaming at people, if you sell on the way up, I'm going to hunt you down. Well, guess what? When you get to $1,000, there's not enough liquidity. So I think I
Yeah.
would rather sell right now on the way up, lock in some profit, than
Right.
wait till it turns. Because when it turns, it's going to come right back down. What goes up comes right back down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a interesting ride. So that's the part that I was just really concerned about with people just uh, getting stuck in it, and it's going to happen. So,
Now, here's the second piece of that. Sometimes it's fun to just play. I got a position on Ripple right now, and frankly, I don't expect to ever. I don't know. I might make money on it. I hear it's going to hit 100 or 200 or $500 a coin one day, and I threw some money at it, and I figured if I get it back, great. If not, no big deal. So sometimes you do that, but I don't do that with big money. I just do that with
yeah.
little stuff, and sometimes that's fun. I think like another one that they were pumping. There's about 20 stocks that the Reddit forum was really pushing, and another one was Nokia,
Yeah.
which is still
I
only
didn't even
about
know they
six or
were still in
seven
business.
bucks. I think that they're in business to make phones for films that are like period pieces from the 90s.
Ah.
Because they need a fresh supply of Nokia phones for films that took place in 1998.
Yeah, maybe
No,
maybe
but
they started making
some of
something
those
else.
other trades, BlackBerry, which I didn't know BlackBerry was in business, honestly.
Yeah, I saw that.
BlackBerry, Nokia, some of those other stocks are still really cheap, and that would be a better bet than chasing GameStop today.
Yeah. So, but still, like, I mean, I guess we already answered it though. I mean, it's all speculation, and if we know that they're already trying to do the same thing with BlackBerry, then we just look at the charts and look at the volatility and look at the volume.
Okay, so I was about ready to wrap this up, but you just triggered a new idea here. Are we going to see a new wave of this? Could we see a
That's
wave of consumer-based hostile market moves?
I think so. And like I was reading an article about it on Bloomberg, and that's what they were kind of asking too. Unless the SEC comes in and locks it down some kind of way, which would be, that's like I think that's going to be some legal challenges one way or the other with that. But I think so. I think like the little guys are starting to realize that they can make a difference.
I think so, and I think it's great, honestly. And if the SEC does try to put some regulation on that, we have to scream, because for them
Yeah,
to let the hedge funds get away with what they
yeah,
do and for the little
yeah,
guys to not be able to play, I mean, that's got class action suit written all
yeah,
over it. The only thing the
yeah.
SEC would hate worse than some market manipulation from 3.4 million Reddit users would be a class action suit from 3.4 million Reddit users.
Right, right, right. Wow, this is about to get fun.
It could be fun. It's interesting. I've always been really cautious about the trades that I set up, especially with options, because you don't have that much. Um, you know, if I had 1,000 people in a trading room and we talk about an option with 800 open interest, we would be the market. So I'm always
Right,
really
right.
careful about that. But it's going to be interesting to see where things go.
Yeah,
It's going to be really interesting.
yeah. Do you ever remember anything? I mean, obviously we've had short squeezes before, but like to this magnitude since you've been trading, have you seen anything similar to this?
There was a person who was running a live trading room that I recall several years ago. I will leave names out of it, but it was a really big trading institution, um, similar to what I've done over the years, much bigger than what I've done. But they had a live trading room, a day trading room. And when he would call out the trade and say, okay, we're going to buy now, you would have thousands of people that placed the trade at the same time, and they would move the market. And so I've seen that. And frankly, I had thought that's what we would see with TradingView and all the trade ideas and stuff you can publish. And
Yeah,
now they're doing live streams on TradingView. I had thought we might start to see some of that on TradingView, and we haven't seen it from what I can tell. But now
yeah,
maybe it just turns out the forum is Reddit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we might have to do a part two of this.
We probably will. Hey, Kris, thanks for joining me for this. This is
Thank
fun,
you.
and next time I want you to drive the conversation more. I want to learn some of the stuff that you've been thinking about. Have you share
Okay.
that with everybody?
Okay, no problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. And for those of you who are watching at home, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to learn some more, you can reach me here on the Facebook page. You can also reach me at trademaestro.com. And Kris has got some of his own stuff coming up too soon. So you have any contact info, Kris? Can they find you on Facebook?
I'll try to stay off Facebook. We'll save
I'm
that for
glad with you.
later.
All right, you have a great night. We'll talk to you
You
later,
too.
Kris.
Take care.
Bye bye.